and they just want me so people out there in the world of ether can hear me, to my microphone on. A warm welcome to the TRAP group, but there'll be another more formal welcome to you before you stand up to speak. We have two people from members of the public here today. Now, just remind the community board members, please make sure you use the microphones and people out there listening to us. So I'd like to declare this Thames Community Board meeting open. I'll stand again. And, no, that one down there. Martin Rodley is going to do the karakia. Councillor Rodley, those stand please. Those who wish to stand, those who don't wish to stand, you remain seated.
I ngā tohu o te rangi o te whenua. Hei aratiki I e mātua I ngā take I whiriwhiri I e tēnei whā. I raro anō I te aroara a e ranganui ki ranga a papatanuku e takotu nei. Whakamau ki tēnei homi e hui e tāki e.
While we're standing, is there anybody else who wishes to make a prayer at this point? No? Here.
Oh, sorry.
So, good deal. Right. Apologies. Would somebody care to move the Thames Community Board accepts apologies from the Deputy Chair? Yes. Moved by Councillors. Whoa, Sinclair. So used to. Oh, thank you. If you keep turning all your names around towards me, it's so much easier. Second by Board Member Rakwa. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. We're now moving into the public forum. We have two speakers today in the public forum. And the first speaker is Mrs. Stephen, please. You come up to the front. That's the one there. And Martin will turn on your microphone and I'll turn mine off.
Kia ora, I'm Jenny, a member of the community, the wider community. I'm here about respect for our families and whakapapa, regardless and inclusive of every culture and creed and time regardless. It's focusing on the Shortland Cemetery, which our family have recently found that we have 4 members in that cemetery in the C section, which nobody was aware of. So I've been up to have a look. And I've actually I've been back 3 times to clear and to actually find the plot, which was difficult to do. There were 2 wonderful people in our community that you probably already know, Althea and Graham, who are just extremely helpful in every way and volunteer their information as regards to finding what we want to find out and physically doing something about it. My queries are now about the responsibility for the maintenance and pathway. Obviously, in the Shortland Cemetery, which you'd be aware of, sections A and B are very well cared for and maintained. Section C is totally opposite. It's a mess, and the mess is being created by the trees that are falling down, by the growth of ivy and by the crumbling headstones, a lot of them which are not obviously maintained. So my query is, individual grave sites, is the maintenance for them and the upkeep and the care up to a family or is it part of the council? And how does that relate to other cemeteries and grave sites all over New Zealand, Aotearoa? Is there a plan, and the access for older people, obviously in that C section, a lot of those gravestones, a lot of them are crumbling, you can't see them anymore, but a lot of them relate to people that would be probably getting up to 100 years and older, and the people that want to see them are also probably in their 80s. a lot of them now could not make it up that track. It's highly, it's a hazard. There are lots of risks trying to get up there. They couldn't even get up there with a wheelchair. So I think, how can we make that area more accessible to all our community and to our elders, and maintain it? The responsibility for the maintenance and that track, whose responsibility is it? That's my question. Is it the responsibility of the council or is it individuals? And if it's the council, how long are they responsible? Now, I have heard this morning that they're responsible for that cemetery park for 55 years. Well, who on earth brought that figure out of the sky? I'd like to know, because there are bodies up there that are going to be there forever, like they are in other places, and probably added to by other members of whakapapa, of our whakapapa. Is there a plan to clear and tidy that area? If not, how can we develop one, and in what way can it be done? How much is responsibility of the council? Is there anything budgeted for that area and for the maintenance? Or is it a volunteer aspect? And if so, how can we publicise that, widen it, and make sure that it happens on a regular basis? I'm adamant that this has to happen. I'm not concerned about, I can maintain our graves and our sites, but I'm really concerned about the history of the others up there that are buried and can't see. So is that, and the short-term and long-term responsibility? What's the short-term? How can we maintain or upkeep and maintain that C-section at the moment and in the next 10 years? And long-term, whose responsibility is it? Where does the council stand on that matter? Is there any budgeting for it? If it is individual grave sites, how many of those people are contacted? Who is responsible? Who could make, perhaps, who knows which graves are up there, what families and how they can be contacted regarding upkeep, because some of those headstones have now disappeared with the rubbish and because they're broken and crumbled. There are that C-section is barely accessible for anybody to walk up unless you're able to do it with 2 legs, and a lot of people nowadays, the older people, wouldn't be able to do that. And what is the time frame in any century for maintenance by the council? And how does that impact on this area, and how does it look in our country overall? So that's really my brief, and I would request that I have feedback, please, and I'm happy to be part of any feedback and part of any action that will make a difference to our whakapapa.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stevens. Remember, we had a little
Questions? Is it?
No, I was just going to ask, any board members who wish to ask a question? Councillor Rodley.
Thank you for that. I haven't ever been up to that cemetery, driven past it probably thousands of times. So the C section part, that's up beyond where A and B are? Is that correct?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Right.
Yes, and the A part is mowed, the B part is partly mowed, but it's also partly down the side of a hill. And then the C section is, you go up, you have to follow, if you park at the top of that road, right at the top, that's the only way, and then you walk up past the water tanks. There's a track, and past the water tanks and keep on going up. But it was very, very difficult to find the graves. I had to go back to the museum, and Althea helped me find a plot, and Graham helped me actually find them. Very, very difficult due to the fact that there aren't, there's no way to find them really. It's buried, and the ivy has taken over completely.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Sinclair? No. Anybody? Councillor Rebel?
Thanks for that. And you've got a lot of questions there, and I wonder whether it might be quite useful to document all your questions and somehow get that to council. Unfortunately, I think probably when they opened the Shoreland graveyard, they probably weren't thinking about accessibility in the same way we think about it today. Do you have any suggestions about how Area C might be able to be made more accessible?
I think we need to talk with Graham Pearce who has been responsible for looking after all the sections. And unfortunately, he was also trying to maintain here and there, but I think he's had 2 hips done and hasn't been able to get up. And in that year, when he hasn't, there's a lot of trees that have just come, but we were talking briefly this morning, maybe some way of removing the trees that have fallen and bringing back for the trimming down those that are about to fall. And then...
Okay, so the accessibility relates to tree growth and things like that.
Tree growth, and the track itself is, I don't know what you could do with that, because it's just a track, still gravelled a little, but it's it's quite hazardous. I think putting in some sort of rail that people could hold on to, and there seem to be holes about that big all the way up, as if there has been a rail there in the past, and I guess 100 years ago.
Sure.
If you can think, how did they ever get coffins and gravestones and headstones up that track?
Cool. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens. Just to clarify a point you made there earlier, and it's probably my mistake. If you purchase a plot there, you have 55 years before you use it, and then once you've got the plot, you have for a right of perpetuity. And at some stage, the council will close the cemetery and become a closed cemetery and can't be used. I'm not too sure exactly what the status is at the moment, whether there's still one grave available up there or not, but it could be, I'm sure, but then the council makes an effort to maintain at least the pathways in the bottom part of it.
And I can see, as we can all do, and we've got 4 family members there, we may want to put another one in the same spot. And it could be cremation, it doesn't need to be another plot, or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you.
When can I expect feedback?
Beg your pardon?
When can I expect some feedback?
When we get the questions.
Okay.
Mr. Laslett, please.
We go. Oh, we are going. Okay, greetings, councillors, board members and future leaders. So my name's Greg. I'm actually the grandson of a Ray Jones who used to run and do roading and dock tracks during sort of World War II and post-World War II. So there's basically a long family history of, connected to roads and tracks in the sort of the Thames area. And in recent times, probably for about the last 15 years, I've been involved with volunteer organisations that look after and do things for dock tracks, which there's quite a few up behind Thames. 5 minutes is not a lot to sort of cover the material that's sort of been put before the board. But as my grandfather used to say, when adversity strikes, always stand up and do something for yourself. A message for the kids over here, perhaps. Okay, so first part is a macro conversation, and it talks about what we often call paper roads and the formation of the State Forest Park, which is in behind Thames and across a big swathe of the Coromandel. When DOC was formed, probably circa mid-1980s, there was a process that went through where Crown and some private lands were handed over to DOC. That process was never completed, which is why we call the forest park here one of the forgotten lands. In reality, there are quite a large number of road parcels that are in and adjacent to the park, and they actually fall ultimately as council responsibility. So we think that dock tracks belong to DOC, but that is not actually the local reality. However, council is neither resourced, sort of probably nor inclined to be doing docs work for it. So we have a dilemma. This was basically documented somewhat more than a decade ago in a council report, which I'm sure some may be interested in digging out. And in the documents submitted to the board, I've shown some maps that are of sort of interest to volunteers about areas that fall into this grey area. Now, for probably at least the last 20 or 30 years, there's been essentially a workaround between DOC and council where community organisations and volunteers, usually associated with tramping clubs or tracks trusts, have stepped up and said, okay, we'll look after those bits. We liaise with DOC, we liaise with council, and we basically do the mowing. I mean, that's essentially what usually happens on the ground. A bit of vegetation, and drain clearing and the odd little fix here and there. A relatively small amount of effort basically keeps essentially our coastal tracks open. So most of our coastal tracks fall into this category of being part paper road or previously formed road, or lots of terms which I've given you in that response. And I'm here today about a request to reboot some of these efforts via an entity that's been created called the Kauaeranga Trails Trust. And there is, that sort of moves into a sort of a medium, so what are we doing about it? A number of groups have got what we call MOUs or various letters.
Yeah, 1 minute, less than 1 minute now.
Right. Okay, so moving forward, we would encourage council to go with an option 1, to accept a proposal to form an MOU, and we would note that the content and not workarounds, constraints put in that MOU is yet to be formulated. So for a council to be saying yes now does not mean that the various concerns raised, in the various reports cannot be addressed as part of forming that document. And if that's not the case, we would encourage council to go with option 3, form guidance.
Thank you, Mr. Laslett.
Yep.
So, is there yes, Councillor Rodley.
Right.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
So you're referring to the report that we're going to be looking at in a little bit. So you would be open to the idea of option 3 with yourselves and us, and basically trying to enable the process that you're doing?
So yes, we're asking council for enablement. How that enablement occurs is an open book. In the past, it's been done through an MOU between the volunteers, and council. There's been some comment from staff about an interpretation that maybe that's not necessary. Maybe a simple letter saying follow the DOC program is enough. And if that's true, that would be wonderful. That would be sweet for everybody. So the last MOU I sort of had most to deal with was with Kauaeranga Tramping Club, and that was done in 2015 and then renewed in 2017. And a copy of that is floating around.
Yeah.
But if a simple letter does it, that's fine. Because on the DOC front, all the guidance is already there. We have work plans. DOC provide insurance. DOC, where necessary, DOC provides supervision directly by a ranger, though usually not if it's just cutting weeds. They're usually happy to go for us to go for it. We have access to things like UHF radios. We have known cell points where cell phones will work if there's areas where they don't. We have check-ins, like all of the health and safety is covered essentially under the DOC program.
Councillor
yeah.
Sinclair wishes to ask you a question.
Thank you. One of the other things that's mentioned in our staff report is the trust deed and the, I guess, hesitation of the trust comprising of one person.
Yeah.
And, are you able and willing to address that and include
Yes.
some of the other volunteers that you've got into the trust deed? Because it
Yes.
feels like that would be a stumbling block for us.
Yes.
You're willing to?
Okay, no, the answer is that's definitely yes. The challenge is that people have busy lives, professional lives, and there's often some hesitancy to take responsibility. Like people will do, but to put your name on a piece of paper is a bit of a hurdle to cross. So the answer is very much yes. But it's whether or not people will stand up, and
Okay,
basically
thank you.
Yep.
Is anybody else wishing to ask a question?
No.
There being none, thank you very much for the presentation.
Right.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So I might have a movement and second, please, for the motion that Thames Community Board receive the speakers of the public forum, Mrs. Stevens and Greg Laslett, please. We have a mover, moved by Councillor Rodley, second by Councillor Rebel. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. You may remain if you wish to. Oh, one's gone. You remain, Greg, if you want to, you can go. It's up to you. That's right.
I was talking to.
Hey. All right. You may have noticed we have the board members may notice we've got the TRAC group here today, and this is something that I've been advocating for some time to get them here. I was going to have a formal introduction for you, but unfortunately I've just been notified it won't be happening. My taureo is not good enough to even attempt to speak to you, other than say, welcome to our party, and we'll have a presentation. Now, I'm going to get them first. I've been suitably impressed by going down and seeing on Sunday. Where did you go? Sunday last week? Yeah, down there with putting the murals up the back of the high school. I was absolutely amazed how Roanne and Tina have brought you people together, and the way that you acted down there, you acted as mature adults. You listened carefully to what was being said to you, and you followed it to a T, and I'm just hoping this is going to continue on, and we look forward to seeing you here representing the TRAC group. We'd like to see you come here quite frequently. We may say once every second meeting, we may say every meeting, but it's up to you to make that. That's your first decision, how often you want to come. But today, I believe we have three people going to speak today.
All of them will introduce themselves. And then we'll do that. Yes.
And you schooled them on what to say?
100%.
All right. I'll leave there, and later on, I want to thank all the board members, come around and we raised the press of His Worship the Mayor has just come in here to speak. This is a very new thing for us. I've been looking to do this way back since 2004, so along your station period. Welcome, welcome, thrice welcome. So I'll leave it to you. I'll pass it over to you, Roanne, or yeah, and Tina, and Absalom, and Tina's daughter.
Kia ora koutou, thank you for having us. Just before we start with the slideshow, we'll just quickly introduce ourselves and we'll start down this end.
Morena everyone, my name is Absalom Tudor. I've lived in Thames my whole life and I work with Olivia, Ro and Tina.
Kia ora everybody, my name is Olivia Paki. I am a kaitāmero at Ngāti Marurunanga and I'm also a member of TRAP.
Kia ora te whānau, ko Tina Tukuingo no Hauraki Ahau. Iri nei te muri whenua. So I'm married into Ngāti Maru in the Hauraki, born and bred here. I'm a kaitāmero of Ngāti Marurunanga and I'm so happy to be here today and thank you very much for giving us an audience here today. Kia ora.
Kia ora anō, ko Roanne Mitchell te teira tōku ingoa. I'm also married into Ngāti Maru, originally from Maniapoto, but Thames is my home. As like Absalom, Olivia and Tina, Rangatahi are our passion. So we won't talk too much because we will talk in a moment. So, and then we'll invite the crew up. So if we could just please push play, Jen, thank you. So just a bit of background for those that don't know much about TRAP. We had over 100 applications that came through. We actually did a soft launch at the end of last year. We went into all the senior schools around Thames and we obviously went into the high school. We made it an application process because we wanted rangatahi that actually want to make a difference within our community. So it wasn't easy. We had our boardroom was full with all these details and all the questions that our rangatahi had answered, and we have a diverse range of 13 rangatahi that have now formed this ropu. All with different talents and different strengths. For some, public speaking is not their thing at the moment. Okay, this is their first kind of introduction to the community. So we will get them to introduce their names, but within 6 months they'll be up here and they'll be leading the show. For the four of us, a lot of services say that rangatahi have a voice. So if you could kind of picture a ladder, and at the top of the ladder are the services, and at the bottom of it are our kids. We want to make that shift. So at the moment, we're all on the even par because we are still new. We've only met about 5 times. And that was purely, we needed to get Youth Week sorted. At the moment, we're all on the same rung of the ladder. At the end, Tina and I will be down the bottom, and it will actually be TRAP that will be up there, that will be driving it. It will be rangatahi led, it will be driven by them, and we'll be there to awhi them, and hopefully our community will be behind them as well. So I will get them just to come up and just for those that are going to introduce themselves, and it's a good learning curve for them. They have some of them have kind of wrote down what TRAP means to them and why it was important that TRAP was formed.
Aroha mai whānau, I should have said in my mihi, in the back row there we have our whakatupu tete kura, which is our year 9 ropu, which is another ropu that we work with from year 8 to year 11 through high school. And that was just to send a very clear message to with anything that we do with any ropu, we all move together. Nobody moves alone. So we will, when we're here, we will all be moving together. So we tautoko each other. Yeah? Kia ora.
Kia ora, I'm Finn Tyson, and I joined TRAP to give all the children in our community a fun childhood with all the fun activities we will bring them. TRAP's important to me because I get to see all my mates and others having a good time rather than them being lazy and watching movies when it's not school. I can bring many skills to TRAP, such as my knowledge, my strength, and my love for everybody. Thank you for your time.
Kia ora, I'm Finn. I go to Te Puru School.
Kia ora, I'm Toby Dryden. I go to Te Puru School and I'm 11 years old. I joined TRAP because I thought it would be a good way to help make change in Thames. TRAP is important because the Thames rangatahi have a voice through us. I bring sports knowledge to TRAP because I participate in lots of sports in Thames.
I'm Chloe. I'm 13 and I go to Thames High. I joined TRAP because I wanted to see a change in the community, and I can bring, I love planning events. I have a love of arts, and I just love everybody and want to see everybody just having fun.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm a year 11 at Thames High School. I've lived in Thames my whole life, and I joined TRAP because I want to make a difference in our community and to be a voice for the youth. I think that I bring to TRAP creative ideas, determination, a desire for more opportunities for youth, and a big mouth. TRAP is important because we are the future and we should have a say in what happens. Giving youth a voice lets us be in a better environment and grow up to be more open-minded and conscious young adults.
Kia ora, I'm TJ. I'm at Thames High School in year 13. When I moved here in 2021, after the cinema closed, I found there was not a lot for me to do with friends and mates, and we all kind of got a bit bored screwing around in parks and things. So when TRAP opened, I jumped at the chance to change that and try cater for teenagers and kids alike. and hopefully build a great idea throughout Thames. Thanks so much.
Kia ora, I'm Cheyenne. I joined TRAP because I want to help with further education and careers for Rangatahi. And I think it's important that we have this group for leading Rangatahi by Rangatahi.
Kia ora, my name is Izzy, I'm 16 and I moved to Thames from Wellington at the beginning of last year. Some of you may know me through the dance school, which I teach at, or through musical performances. Coming to Thames as a teenager from the city was quite a shock, and I found that there is little to do in the way of events and spaces for young people. I am part of TRAP because I think the right plans will help the youth in Thames feel part of the community, as well as respect its environment and people. Thank you.
Kia ora, I'm Ora, and I'm a part of TRAP. I joined TRAP because I wanted to be more a part of the community and be able to organise and fundraise important events all year round for our tamariki. And my hopes with TRAP this year was to modify Thames to being more younger generation inclusive. So in a way, we would create spaces and events that target the interests of young minds in our community.
Kia ora, I'm Lexi and I go to Parawai School.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko moihau rawa ko rangitoto ngā maunga, ko manga o kiwa te awa, ko te kapa te moana, ko tainui te waka, ko Ngāti Maru rawa ko Maniapoto oku iwi, ko Ave tōku ingoa. Kia ora everyone, my name is Ave, I'm 11 years old and I go to Parawai School. I joined TRAP because it is important for all rangatahi and hauraki to have a voice and start having fun thinking. Last year, I attended Children's General Assembly in Billund, Denmark. This was a great experience for me, seeing as how different communities around the world include rangatahi in everyday decisions and how their voices make a difference. I'm really excited to be a part of TRAP. Teamwork is a valuable asset, as is gathering information from other rangatahi around Thames, so we are catering for everyone's needs. TRAP, remember the name.
Kia ora. Having the chance to watch TRAP in its creation, it stood for everything that I wish I had when I was younger. It gives an outlet and a voice in a town where it is a minority. The youth in Thames are restless, and with opportunities and choices made by them, we will see an active change not only in youth, but also how the rest of Thames view them. We've already seen the impact TRAP can have with the mural created for Youth Week and how much buy-in we had from the rangatahi in the community. This makes TRAP important as it can only get bigger and have bigger dreams and changes for Thames. I'm hoping that by being a part of TRAP, I can offer a different outlook based on my lived experiences.
Kia ora. TRAP was founded due to the clear need for youth to have an outlet for kids who play sport, yet also an outlet for the young muse. It's an outlet for the kid whose only free time is during the week and for the kid whose only free time is during the weekend. It's a group of youth with different ideas, different lifestyles and experiences that can come together for a common cause to change the current climate for youth. It's a for youth, by youth initiative, and we're hoping that it is cause enough for change. It's an opportunity to have events curated to fit the need of every youth in Thames. When TRAP was formed, I was eager to get involved as youth has always been my passion. I learned very on that you can't change the whole world, but you can just change ones. And that has kind of stuck with me forever. I want to be a role model that leads by example, and I'm hoping to do this with my wide range of skills and lived experience. Thank you.
Well done, guys. You've done amazing. So at the Youth Week mural reveal, TRAP actually had surveys that went out to rangatahi and tamariki that were there. And they're still collating the data, but there's obviously a need for a few different activities and events around Thames because we are getting the same suggestions coming through multiple times. So it's quite exciting. We have just started, so please don't expect it's kind of too much. We I think we are onto a good thing. We are, as I said, we are very, very lucky because we've got a diverse range of rangatahi, and it's important that we're capturing not just one type of kind of activities, or, you know, sports is massive, but not everyone plays sports. Well done with the park. The basketball court has been used every day. That was also something that has been written down on multiple surveys. So we are going to start really honing in on the data that we have collected. We obviously, that is a major part of TRAP, is for them to always be collecting the data. We need to know what our rangatahi need. We need to know what they want so that we can make sure we're acting upon it. We've had fantastic suggestions like somewhere for them to display their art, or an art gallery for rangatahi. We've had a couple of suggestions on BMX tracks and certain things like that. So we've got some really wild suggestions as well, but I think it's important that we don't limit our rangatahi when it comes to their ideas. We need to make sure that with the age groups, they're very open and honest, and they will kind of tell you what they're thinking, which is amazing, because we can also work with that. So we are very excited. Thank you very much for having us here. Open to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions amongst the board members? Councillor Sinclair.
You knew it would be me. I think this is fantastic, and I'm just so excited, and I was absolutely gutted to miss the mural. I was away for a family birthday, and so I'm so sorry that I missed that, but I have driven out of my way to look at it on numerous occasions. So my question really is that this feels like the very beginning of something that is going to be quite amazing, and we've got this community board, and except for Holly, we're all old, and so it'd be really, really nice to sort of find a way to keep that engagement up with you guys. Why am I talking to you? You guys. And so I would be really interested in hearing from you how you want us to interact with you. Like, should we come to your events? Should we throw things at you? Should we harangue you in the supermarket? Like, what is the best way for us to talk to you and to hear what you have to say?
I think some of the scariest things, I think, because we are a wide age range, is it's just it always starts with a simple conversation. So just talking to any of us first and foremost is the kind of engagement we need first. And then in terms of just working together and stuff, I think if you guys are just as involved, and if we can be just as involved in the decisions you guys make as well, you know, as you said, not that it's a bad thing, but you guys are a lot older. But, you know, yeah, except Holly. But, you know, it would be awesome for us to have a voice in what goes on as well. So I think it's a buy-in from both of us. So not just you guys having to be there for us, but also we need to be showing up as well.
That would be absolutely just bonza. Thanks.
I think also,
Board member Rakwa.
Thanks. Through the chair. I just want to clear, it's not all that's called experience. Just want to clear for everyone. The second thing is, do you have any leader on the group? A team leader, yeah.
We have got, I'm going to say Olivia and Absalom would be the leaders of the group at the moment, purely because they were there when we formed TRAP, and they are fortunate enough to make the age group. Tina and I just miss out on that kind of 24 age group. Yeah, we only just missed out. So it would be Absalom and Olivia at this stage, but I would honestly like to say they'll all be leaders. And that is a big thing that Tina and I, as Kai Tāmero, will be pushing, is to put all of our rangatahi through leadership courses. It's important we don't just have 2, we need 13.
Thanks. I'll feel sorry you missed out for a little bit. That's okay. Next time. I heard that the words comes few times. They like to see changes in the community. If you have a chance, what one thing you like to improve or want to change in the community? One thing. What is your priority at the moment?
I think as a collective, if there was one answer, it would just be buy-in from everyone for the one thing. So eventually, as TRAP, we'll have one goal. What it is yet, we don't know. At the moment, it's just making sure everyone's together. But it's just so that, you know, everyone has the same buy-in. Everyone has the same want. If everyone has the same want, then it's way easier to make a change than having 13 different ones, if that makes sense. So as a community, if we all have the same want.
Sorry, I'll rephrase my question. What's the main priority?
Kotahitanga, first and foremost, just togetherness.
If I could elaborate as well, when we first were forming the Ropu, one thing Tina and I spoke about is we want to get, so our rangatahi are seen as, I suppose, a pest within the community, within business owners. We need that to change. So we would like to one day attend the TBA as well to introduce TRAP. I think it's important that they will be making a name for themselves in a positive way, and I think we need to start working with our community a lot more. It is hard for the older generation, I'm not being rude whatsoever, but to be youth friendly. And when I went to Denmark and when I went with Ave last year, it was a real eye-opener to see the mayor and the entire community all for the youth. But it's going to take a long time, and that's where with our rangatahi as well, we need to make sure that we're making positive change within the community. So it's everyone, it's getting our youth having a voice, but also having a voice and they can see the changes. It's all very well saying that you have a voice, and then we are dictating what they need to do, or, you know, other people are dictating. So I think in terms of working together as a community, TRAP getting their name, you know, we'd be happy to go to the Thames Business Association and introduce themselves. We are going to be running events. We could probably let you know that they are already locked into running a Christmas in the Park this year, which is a major event that they would love to do, and that's going to involve the community. So I think we just need to work together. I'm going to be honest, this isn't a youth-friendly space, so it's just thinking of little things like that, like what will make them feel more comfortable, so that when you want ideas, they're just going to go bang, 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 because they feel comfortable. So, and I know this is, it's just little things like that. Yeah.
It's also about, because we speak about a youth-friendly space, and we speak about some of our older generation, don't interact with our youth. It's also about us tidying up our behaviours as well, and providing a space for our rangatahi to learn new skills of being able to, provide them with tools to be able to cope with whatever is happening with them that's leading to bad choices or bad behaviours. So it's all about that too. It's not just about we expect everyone else to change. It's about making a change ourselves too. You start with yourself and then move forward. Yeah?
Hi, Board Member Kenzie.
Hi guys, speaking on the younger generation of the group. I just want to say that I wrote down a few of your guys' main notes when you were all introducing yourselves, and a lot of them all sort of tied into, you know, voice of the youth, opportunities, wanting to be a part of this community, and a few of you are from Thames High, so hopefully you guys were at the assembly which I came and spoke on behalf of the Thames Community Board about the big thing that we have a decision coming up about the local pool. I did express a huge push to hear from you guys, so I really hope you guys went away and voted on that and did the survey. But these are the things that we as a community board, you know, have a big heavy weight on our shoulders to make the right decision. I came onto this, got voted on and put my name out there to be a voice for the youth, to try break up the age bracket currently sitting in this council room. And I'm super happy and glad that the members of the community trusted me to be here. So hopefully we can create a relationship with you guys all. So when we have these humongous decisions to make, we can hear from a very diverse group of, you know, of youth out there that can hopefully steer us in a direction, because we don't want to make
the wrong thing, and then in 10 years' time, we may not have a pool, you know, and then you guys go, oh, well, that would have been nice to have a say. So, you know, that's what we're going to have to work on with you guys. We're here for you. Definitely want to hear what you guys want to say. I'm definitely pushing the youth thing, and we've got a really amazing community board and councillors that actually are all for you guys, all for the youth. So, you know, we're here for you. So let us know. We want to hear your thoughts so we can make the right decisions. So yeah, hopefully you guys did the survey. So yeah, no pressure.
Thank you, Holly. Just one thing with the survey, what we found even when we were doing our surveys last weekend, you can't just expect our Rangatahi to do a survey because they want to. So we did have a big speaker that was actually up for grabs. So we've kind of learned that if we need information from our kids, we need to give something in return. Yes. So, but yeah, definitely we would love to work closely with you guys. As I said, we are still very new, but for Tina and I, we aren't rushing the process, and this is why it's probably taken such a long time to get going, because we want to do it right. And we are lucky, as I said, I can't express how lucky we are to have the 13 up there. And we want to also give them opportunities where they can upskill themselves, which I think is really, really important as well.
Just a heads up, we also vetted those surveys before they went into the draw for the speaker, so only the valued surveys went into the draw for that speaker.
So I'll just for transparency, I'm over the age of 60. I have a super gold card, so it's where I sit. I want to commend each one of you for your decision to be involved in something that'll make a difference. It is really impressive, and it's hugely significant for us to sit here and hear you as you talk about the various skills you're bringing to this town, but your desire to make a difference. And I think we in the community board, we sit around here because we think we are wanting to make a difference. For me, it took 60 years before I got to the point of thinking I can make a difference to the flavour of this town. And the fact that you've reached that point so early in your lives is fantastic. In the weekend when we did the opening for the Pirate Park playground, the benefactor, one of the people who had given a significant chunk of money to that, had a phrase that said, "We make a life by what we give, not by what we get. We make our life by what we give, not what we get." And when I sit here and hear you guys, I'm thinking, here are 13 people who are all about giving, are all about making a difference by giving of your time, your energy, your skills, your passion. And it's absolutely fantastic to see that. So for each one of you, I really commend you and thank you for the contribution you're making to this town. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, board members, for your comments. I'm going to ask the Mayor just to say something very shortly. It's only right because he's here. First and foremost, I want to thank you most sincerely for coming in here today. I had a quick talk with Ryan out in the freezing cold in the car park out at rugby club rooms some weeks ago. And I think, yeah, we heard people say the younger generation need to be heard, and I think that's critical. I've been discussing this for the last 20 odd years to try and get Rangatahi or Tamariki type into this building so we can hear what you've got to say. It's critical for us to know what you're thinking, and whilst you don't get a vote at this stage, some of you, some may, we hope that you aspire to coming on to a situation like this. But my real thing is I want to see you come in here and speak to us, whether it's on a regular basis, whether at each one of our full meetings. I know it's very difficult to get you out of school, and I know it's a real problem, but maybe we can wangle something. Maybe we could write a little letter for your headmaster just to say, give a note to your headmaster to say that we want to hear you speak. So, mate, in this room, you may not have noticed, but there was one very proud parent sitting down in the far corner who's just snuck out. So who's her daughter? Charlie, is it? Right. Mum looked very proud. I can see you looking very proud watching you there. It's amazing. And any parent would be proud to see you people standing out there. It really, I feel quite emotional about seeing you here, and particularly the way that you acted down at the unveiling of the things. Is it a pukana? Is it pukana?
Pukana.
Yeah, that was amazing. I'd love to see them do it, but they probably won't. But what I was hoping to do after the mayor's spoken is that all the board members will stand up. You come around this way and meet them all and go back to your seating over there. But truly, honestly, this is the best day of my life in local politics to see you here. It's fabulous. All right, thank you so much for coming. Your Worship.
Kia ora tātou. Thank you, Adrian. There are two things that I've been looking forward to in the last couple of weeks that are on my calendar, and I spoke to Ro at the Porritt Park opening on Friday. One was the opening of the Porritt Park, which was the sense of excitement and the sense of anticipation around that was absolutely fantastic. And the second thing was today, and meeting you, the TRAP members here, and when Ro and I spoke on Friday, I said, I'm really looking forward to this. You have not disappointed. You guys are amazing. And we're very fortunate in this town to have a community board that is open to ideas and in tune with the message that you have to give. They want to hear what you have to say. And I'm going to come back to what community board member Holly McKenzie said earlier on. The voice that you can contribute to the decision-making pathways around important things that will give us the future amenities for our district are absolutely vital. So please make sure that you contribute and make sure that you continue talking to our community board members and our decision makers, because you are part of that. We want to hear your voices. There is one idea that I have, which will be absolutely vital to the process that we're going through at the moment. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I need to talk to Ro and Tina immediately after this. If we can make this idea happen, then this will be a very, very important part of you being included in the decision-making pathway and the future of this district, and in fact, wider than that, the future of our country and the way that things are set up for future generations. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for everything. Tina and Ro, if I can talk to you straight after this, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. While they're standing, can they meet the board? Oh, you got around? Okay. Oh, no, we're going to go back to the seats. Go on then. I'll go first.
Bring it in. You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll be in touch. Oh my goodness. Bring it on, bring it on. Bring it on, thank you.
Keep cold, so.
Yeah, bring it in.
So for the Rangatahi, this is where it gets serious, back into a formal board meeting. And you'll hear us move a motion regarding the Rangatahi here today. So, but before I do that, I just want to congratulate one particular Rangatahi. I don't want to pick, I think you're all fantastic, amazing. But Cheyenne, just passed your law degree. Way. I bet there's a few more proud mums out there. So, can I have a mover and seconder, please, that the Thames Community Board receives TRAP Thames Rangatahi Advisory Panel as speakers in the deputation the 5th of June 2024 at the Thames Community Board meeting. Moved by Board Member Mackenzie, second by Councillor Sinclair. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. Just once again, thank you so much. Fabulous day. Best day of my political life, which is very short actually, but still. So, and I'm just saying to the gentleman who spoke about age here, I said, if you can aspire to get to my age, you'll be doing well. All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break now, and you can mix and mingle amongst all the students here, or you can go out and get yourself a cup of coffee and one chocolate biscuit. Thank you. just in case anybody else is interested, put my phone on. I'm just quickly going to run down through the agenda 1.5, 1.6 and 1.7. 1.5, there are no items to be added to the agenda today, so, and it's gotten big red letters, do not ask. 1.6, any members have conflict of interest to declare? There being none. 1.7, minutes for confirmation. Yes, you're moving that. That's moved by Councillor Rodley. Do we have a second? Thames Community Board confirms the minutes of the Thames Community Board meeting held on the 10th of April 2024, moved by Martin Rodley. Do we have a seconder? Oh, no, an absentee. Board Member Rakwa. Right, all those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. I assumed that you had no, that was all true and correct. I might as well do 2. Oh no, 2.1 is a bit complicated. Okay, we're going to move to item 2.4, please. We've got 2.4. Scrolled it up on the laptop. And welcome to Mr. Varley, who's here as the writing manager. And I think Greg Laslett is sitting over there as well. So, and we've got some other on that. That's all today. So, so you have two choices. Take it as read. Okay, take it as read. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please, that the Thames Community Board receives a request for Memorandum of Understanding Agreement, Kauaeranga Trails Trust report dated 19th of April 2024, and recommends to the Council that the request by the Kauaeranga Trails Trust to enter into a Memorandum of Understanding is declined. So, do we have a discussion, please? Do you want to break it down? Okay, and I think that's a very good idea. Excellent. So you'll move that first part, receive the report. Do we have a seconder? Second by Board Member Rakwa. Okay, all those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. The second part of that recommendation, I'd like to see some discussion on that, please. Yeah, Board Member, Councillor Rodley, sorry.
So I guess I just really wanted to check with the chair or possibly with our governance folk. We received, I think yesterday, an email from Greg, but I just wanted to check, has the roading manager seen that? And is that, are we actually allowed to discuss Greg's rebuttal of the report, or are we just looking at what's in the agenda? I just don't want to go astray.
Today's agenda items, what's on the agenda. So that was the opportunity to rebut here within the public forum.
Okay. Anyway, can I ask a separate question?
Yes.
So.
You asked many questions.
Yes.
To get some clarity into the situation.
So I believe back in 2015 or 17, there was an MOU between council and, at the time, it was the Kauaeranga Tramping Club, which I think has since ceased to be an entity. Oh, okay. I might be wrong on that. So I guess for me, at that time, it was possible to have an MOU, and I'm really aware that DOC's budget keeps getting cut, and it's likely to get cut more and more. And we've got an opportunity here for a community organisation to be able to do some work that possibly DOC won't be doing. And we've heard a lot with all the long-term plan stuff about community enablement and empowerment. And so I'm just really keen. We seem to have a bit of a difference between Greg's MOU and staff's report. So I'm just really keen to see if there's some common ground that we can make this happen somehow. That was a really long question.
No,
But I put a
that was a long
mark at the
question.
end.
So basically you're asking if there's any common ground that we could look at to enable an MOU. Is that your question? And I think we should address that to Mr. Varley.
Through the chair. Firstly, we're aware of the previous MOU that was surrendered. I believe it was in 2020 or 2021. I can find the records for that. MOUs do exist. There is one other MOU with a cycling group that maintain tracks in the Thames area. That's a historical MOU that dates back around 10 years. So MOUs are possible, and we are, as a council, looking at a separate MOU which is being prepared for a cycle trail from Pauanui to Tairua. So the possibility of MOUs are certainly on the table with voluntary groups. What I would like to clarify is the misconception that appears to be occurring here about the powers of council and the powers of DOC. Within road reserve, and that's formed or unformed roads, or what are called paper roads, and there's quite a good summary there in Mr. Laslett's board presentation on paper roads. Or basically, road reserves are a legal entity. DOC have no powers whatsoever across road reserves. So even if a road reserve occurs within a national park, they have no powers over that without agreement with the council. And at this moment in time, there are no agreements that we have with DOC around their maintenance of road reserves. So they cannot therefore delegate any powers to third parties. The presentation, and I have received copies of it, of Mr. Laslett's 3 documents. I read them this morning. If you look at the clarification of the park area, you can see that there are certain roads that run through the park area. They are road reserves. They are formed road reserves. Are maintained by council. There are also unformed road reserves, which is Victoria Trail is one of the names that's used, or Victoria Road. That is an unformed road reserve that accesses DOC land. DOC have designated a walking route along that, but their designation of a walking route does not give them any powers to undertake works. So the reduction that you mentioned in the DOC budgets, mirroring ours, does affect voluntary work, and DOC are looking at those for areas within the land that they control. Within the road reserve, we do not have a budget for it. So there is no funding for this type of work within the council. As I mentioned earlier, council is looking at an MOU agreement. They're also potentially, as part of the long-term plan process, looking at the possibility of creating a walking and cycling strategy, which would potentially cover this type of situation where we have voluntary groups that want to undertake works. The problem is that that strategy does not exist at the moment. So anything that we do at this time is very much preempting that strategy on a district-wide policy basis. That's really where we are at the moment. So the situation is, whilst we would like to support voluntary groups, I cannot recommend entering into an MOU at this time because we do not have that policy in place.
So just like fantastic governance officer here. She pushes my mic button. I just want to recap on that there. So you can't agree to an MOU at the moment, but you're talking about another one between Tauru and?
Tauru and Pauanui. Tauru.
Oh, of the hill.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Pauanui and Tauru. But so on the basis of that, what's the difference with that one in relation to this MOU, this memorandum of understanding with Mr. Laslett and his Kauaeranga Trails?
The MOU that is being considered for that location complies with all current legislation. It sets out specific requirements for the parties of the MOU, and that's both council and the voluntary group. It sets out the potential need for approval of work programs, budgetary considerations, health and safety, etc. There are many things that we cannot ignore, such as health and safety implications. Budget is an issue. The other group have their own funding structure in place. There are also standards. Standards that are used within dock reserve are not suitable for use in road reserve.
Right.
The final thing, of course, is that by entering into an MOU, council is effectively authorising that person to undertake works within road reserve on behalf of the council. So by default, they become a subcontractor, if you like, a voluntary subcontractor of council.
So we didn't ask Mr. Laslett this earlier, but how much of what he was proposing in MOU is on road reserve and how much was going to be on Department of Conservation land, please?
In the MOU, there's, and also within the actual, I've forgotten the word I'm looking for, the creation of the trust, there is a discrepancy, shall we say, about what is road reserve and what is considered to be part of dock reserve. This is something that if we did develop an MOU, we would have to be specific about.
So I'm just going back to Councillor Rodley's suggestion that community empowerment or free labour or whatever, you know, I mean, I can see a lot of good things in here. Probably not looking through your eyes at it, but I can see a lot of things that would be beneficial to tracks and things in our area. And I just wondered if there's some way in which we could manoeuvre, some way we could work, somewhat we get our heads together and get some clear understanding about what we can do and what we can't do. But Councillor Rebel wants to.
Thanks, Chair. Ed, what do you think the Kauaeranga Trails Trust is wanting to achieve in requesting an MOU?
My belief is that they want to act on behalf of the public for the public good. I can't see any other rationale behind this approach if it wasn't for the public good, and I would support that. But the problem is that as a legal entity, we as council have to consider this thing, pardon me, in regard to our responsibilities and our roles. We cannot freely delegate this type of work to a trust, a third party, an individual, without going into the background, without going into the details, and without going into the possible ramifications of such an agreement. As I said earlier, we are looking into this type of agreement. We are developing a standardized form of MOU, and we are looking into all the necessary regulations that we as a council and the people who undertake work under the MOU would have to comply with. So at the moment, whilst I would support the premise that voluntary groups could undertake this work, I feel that this request for an MOU is currently premature.
Can I just? So when I read the report, I felt that the basis or the substance of the report was pointing out what was the inadequacies or the problems or whatever it is with the proposed MOU. Whereas kind of if we made a decision to enter into an MOU, surely what that MOU would look like would be subject to negotiation between the Kauaeranga Trails Trust and Council, or a negotiation or agreement, and say, well, we can't have that one because whatever reason, but perhaps we could, have this. So it kind of, I felt that the report was saying we shouldn't do it because there's problems with the proposal, rather than actually we could do this, but we would need to work through with KTT about what that actually looked like. With regards to your comment before about we advise not to enter an MOU because we do not have yet have a strategy for walks and trails or across the district, and I agree with that, we don't have that strategy, but my assessment would be the risk of entering into an MOU would be pretty highly unlikely to end up being in contradiction with a strategy, that we come up with. The strategy would be a high level thing, and it comes into the implementation. And then you say we're actually in the process of developing a standardised MOU, etc. And perhaps to that, I would say, well, let's use KTT as a live example for helping develop that MOU. So I think what I'm saying is I'm supporting what Councillor Rodley's saying is how do we make and move this thing towards getting it to happen because of the public benefit, because of the things that you put out here in terms of the advantages. What has to be true, and what do we have to change, and what do we have to adapt to kind of get this thing moving, rather than, hey, no, let's kill this until we've developed a strategy, etc. So I'd be wanting us to say, let's use this and work out a way to make it happen.
Just before Mr. Barley answers that, on page 38, there's option 3. And I think option 3 at the moment looks quite viable, but maybe Mr. Barley may have some other comment to make.
Through the chair, option 3 is viable. The development of an MOU is possible, and as I said earlier, we are doing that. The one thing I would state at the moment is that even the draft MOU that we're currently preparing is markedly dissimilar to the one that was proposed by Greg Laslett. The legal implications for working within Road Reserve is quite significant. The implications for council in delegating that authority to work within Road Reserve is also significant for council. We have historical MOUs that, as I say, there is one currently in effect, which, if tested in court for any reason, would probably be found significantly wanting. We are aware that there have been changes in health and safety legislation. We are aware of the legal responsibilities having changed since that MOU was created, which is why we are working to try and develop this new MOU, this new form of MOU, with the other trust. And whilst we, there is the option to develop a separate MOU, the worry I've got is that the form of the MOU that we would be developing is vastly dissimilar to the one that's been proposed at the moment.
Did you say vastly similar?
Dissimilar.
Oh, dissimilar. I missed that 3 letters in the front. Councillor Sinclair, did your name was down for speaking?
No, that's all good.
No,
You
go,
sort of
go.
asked half of the thing that I was thinking, and yeah, it's all good.
So that's a case of great minds think alike. I got it. Yeah. So, Board Member Rakwa.
Thank you, Chair. Just a small question about the roads go from Butterfly Great to up Victoria Trail thing. That road condition is pretty bad. How often and who look after that roading side?
The road in question, the majority of that road is actually, whilst it is a road reserve, it's not maintained as road reserve. So it's beyond the it's beyond the maintenance extents that were set by council in 2018.
Thank you. For the next question will be, if you're opening a trail to go up the top end, and if road is not safe, how are they going to work?
This is one of the legal problems. If, as council, we decide that we will not maintain a road, i.e., we set a maintenance extent, we're not liable for the maintenance of that road. If we agree to works being undertaken within that road reserve on behalf of council, we become liable for the standard of those works. In a similar way, if someone creates a drive access across a verge, say, we are responsible for the standard of those works. If those works do not comply with the required standard, council then may find itself liable to taking action to actually carry out repairs and bring it to that standard. That is something that we do not have funding to do.
Thanks.
I just want to get some clarification in my head. You keep referring to road reserves, and now listening to Board Member Rakwa's question. Is a road reserve, or as an area land reserved for road, is that the old paper road definition, or it's actually a road?
Through the chair, a road reserve is the legal boundary on which a road can be created. So it is the old paper road. That's a term that's used in the past, but there are basically 3 forms of road in New Zealand. There are state highways, which we don't deal with. There are formed roads on which a pavement has been formed, i.e. a sealed pavement or an unsealed pavement. Or there is an unformed road, which is basically a piece of land which could in the future become a road or could be used for roading purposes.
Thank you for that. There's a 4th one too. It's called a rough road, which seems to be what we have mostly. Councillor Rodley?
Yeah, so I think, Ed, earlier on you said that DOC have no ability to do work on those council road reserves. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct. DOC have got no legal responsibility or liability for road reserve.
Right. And just to sort of make this, I mean, we're not talking, a lot of people would think road reserve, it's an area alongside a road, but we're actually talking about essentially walking tracks. So I did find the requirement in there about traffic management. Presumably that would be controlling the traffic, which would be potentially people walking on there rather than vehicles. Is that correct?
Traffic management is required on any road reserve, but it could be as simple as 2 signs and a few cones. Whilst it is a walking track predominantly in these areas, it could also be, be used by horses, cyclists, in theory vehicles if they can get up there. So any traffic management plan would have to be created taking that into account.
Because it appears to me that if we're asking this trust, or in fact any trust or any organisation, to prepare a traffic management plan to essentially be clearing weeds off a walking track, then it just kills it dead. Because I would imagine it would have to be a really specific. They couldn't just wheel out the let's close Pollen Street for a Santa Parade traffic management plan and use that. That would have to, people would have to walk up there, assess it, and I imagine that could potentially be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So again, I just go back to the idea that this is not about creating tracks, as it mentions in the report. This is about doing some weed maintenance on tracks that DOC have no ability to do anything on, that council are actually responsible for, but we have no budget to maintain. And I just really struggle with the idea of waiting for a strategy or a generic draft MOU before we're allowing a group to go and pull some weeds off a track. And I know I'm simplifying it, but yeah, that to me is where I see this, and I'm frustrated that we may end up being forced to decline this MOU, and then essentially allow what could be wonderful walking tracks up in our hills. This opportunity just goes, and we wait for a walking strategy, which might be a year or 2 or 3, and I don't think we have any money in the LTP for it.
Did we fund the walking and cycling strategy in the LTP?
My understanding in the LTP that has not been funded.
Yeah, so
yeah. So essentially, if we vote for option 3, there is no budget to do any work. So option 3 to me at the moment just looks like option 2. Like option 4. No, sorry, I'm just frustrated by this process, and I'm sure Ed is frustrated by the things that have to happen, and I'm sure Greg is equally frustrated by all this.
So I think, board, we kind of need to wrap this up. We've had a reasonable amount of discussion. So there are 3 options in front of you, and if you want to push the boat out, go for option 1.
I would like to move option 1.
Okay, we have a move for option 1. Do we have somebody to second that? Second by Board Member Rakwa. So you're all aware of what option 1 is. You've read it. I gather by that silence you have. Okay, so if there's any, you're the mover, do you want to speak to option 1?
Basically, just what I said before on option 1, I don't see that as adopting the proposed MOU. It's the creation of a MOU jointly created between council and the trust, and that it would take into the considerations the constraints and that we as council might have legally, etc., as well as take into account the aspirations for the Trails Trust. So I think I'd absolutely like to see it happen and have these trails maintained and further developed.
Just a point of clarification there, do you want to put a time limit on, because this could roll on forever into another triennium? Have you got any thoughts about in a given time period? Because it just says agree to the creation of a memorandum of understanding. Always, oh, I've got notes coming left, right and centre. So it all falls back to you, Mr. Varley. That's my advice on both sides. Do we need a defined time in which we're going to do this, which puts you under pressure, or is it likely to happen within the next 6 months, 18 months? After 18 months, you don't have to worry about us.
No budget.
Through the board, I'd have to check with our legal team on their availability for drafting up an MOU. I'm just going through the process in my mind of what we've already done for the other one. That is still ongoing, and that's been, I think that's been going for 6 months at the moment, possibly longer.
Through the chair, could I just make a few comments? Just as the example with the Tairoa Pauanui Trail, that's a trust that's been in existence for 5 to 10 years. They've done 3 stages of trail work through Tairoa to Pauanui. The MOU that we're currently drafting will be brought to council later this year. It has taken quite a lot of time because there is different stakeholders involved in an MOU. There will be additional cost to do another MOU separate to this one with this trust. So just wanting to reiterate about unbudgeted money when we've just done an LTP, that this will probably or likely to have an out of cycle budget implication. The work we're doing around the Tracks and Trails Collective involves the Kauaeranga River Trail Trust. We're fully supportive of what the work they're doing and trying to get, as a lot of community groups have these, the impetus to do this, the capability. So I think from Ed's perspective, there is risk. We have got support. It's just taking into consideration the resource to do this, the budget, and we're not trying in any respect to deter these activities. It's just ensuring that the group is sustainable. They've got some good succession, and there's a good framework behind them to do this work. There are lots of other groups who've got tracks and trails that they want to develop as well, and we definitely want to try and make it so that there's consistency and everyone's working together, so that there's shared experience and that they are all sort of leveraging off each other as well and supporting a network so that they grow that capability. Just if that adds some context as well.
So
I have some reservations about the information we're getting. This is before the board, and it's quite a clear one. And originally, in the recommendations, was it to be declined. If the board indicates it wishes to not decline it, but to, and we just use that number 2, recommends the council request by Kauaeranga Valley Trails Trust to enter into a memorandum of understanding. That's what we do. Just take the words is declined off the end of it, which we're entitled to do. It's up to the board and it's our decision. It won't be the first one we may have crossed swords with our parent body. I don't suppose it'll be the last one.
So through the chair. So I think what's been expressed today is quite clear in terms of Ed's concern about making sure that council has dotted its I's and crossed its T's around safety. And what he's explained is that the legal road rules are different to a track. And so I guess in terms of that option 1, the next step would be for Ed to figure out, you know, how he might be able to make sure that our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed, having an MOU for a group working on a legal road.
Can I just,
to be honest, that's not what our problem. That's not our challenge here today. Our challenge here today is: do we want to have a memorandum of understanding with the KTT? It's as simple as that. all the little airy bits around the outside and the fringes, that is for council staff to work out. Whether it's an out-of-cycle budget or whether it's you get the memorandum of understanding signed or whatever, and then you determine what you can do and what you can't do as according to that memorandum of understanding. I think this could go on forever. We just go backwards and forwards. Not yet, we're not ready, you know, some other time. And I think we should put a stick in the ground and say, this is what we're going to do. Now, I propose to put the vote. We had a mover. The second to wish to comment.
Can I just add further comment?
No, now you're moving as the mover. You're right to reply.
Cool. Thanks, Lorna, for the colour on that, and thanks, Rose, for your comments. I think in moving option one, one thing we're not doing is we're not telling staff how they are to do this. We're not actually telling them at this point what the time frame is. What we're saying is we want a memorandum of understanding, and I would expect that we would then get regular reports back through the program of work or whatever it is, how progress is being made on that. And if for some reason we were concerned about the progress, then I guess we would tackle it then. But I agree that there could be requests that come back for out of cycle budget. There could be all manner of things. But I think by going for option one, we're saying for Thames and for the tracks and trails that we have out the back, we would like to move option one and adopt option one. And that then becomes
Thank you, Councillor
how the staff go about it.
Okay. So that was the last speaker, so we can't have any more comments. I propose to put the motion. And I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand if you're voting yes. So all those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Do you wish your one to be recorded, Councillor Sinclair? I declare the motion carried. And just so you're 100% sure what we voted on, that was recommended to Council to request by the Kauaeranga Valley Trails Trust to enter into a memorandum of understanding. We dropped those words "is declined" off the end of that item there. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Varley, for your time. And I might add a very full report. Very well done. Thank you. Probably not the answer you wanted. (2.1) on the agenda, please. So you all had a chance to read that. And Schedule 7 replace clause 25A with 4. So for me, there's a question there which I'm not allowed to ask. So hopefully somebody else might ask it.
Oh, I was about to say it looks absolutely. I was about to say it looks absolutely standard. It's already been passed at a council level. I'm really happy to move it as it is.
Moved by Councillor Sinclair, second by Councillor Rebel. Is there any further discussion on it? Okay, the thing I like about it is that it says that a meeting by the means of audio link or audio visual link in accordance with this clause be counted as present for the purpose of clause 23. Nowhere does it say present and voting. So we just assume that because you're present and form a quorum, you're entitled to vote. It's not even specific in Standing Orders 23 either. But anyway, I propose to put the motion because the Governance Officer and I have had a long discussion about this. Propose to put the motion that the Thames Community Board receive the proposed amendments to Community Board Standing Orders report dated the 10th of May 2024, approve option 1 and adopt the Community Board Standing Orders amendment allowing elected members to attend meetings by audio-visual means to be counted towards a quorum as Standing Orders 11.1 and updates are made to reflect this change. I propose to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Declared carried. (2.2) Oh, I've got Nicole. Welcome, Nicole. Right, I might just ask you to speak to this, other than the fact that we could take it as being read, but is there anything you wish to draw our attention to in regards to this lease? You've seen the email from the absent board member.
Yes, saw that email. That's been responded to, unless you want me to reiterate that for the rest of the board. So yes, it's just a new lease with the Thames Business Association for the information, for the running of the information centre. Destination Coromandel will be moving out, and as I say, my report, it just leaves the age concerned people who are presently there without a home, but hoping to work something out with them so they can stay. They're quite keen to stay. I've been in touch with them, so just looking at trying to work that for them.
Okay, has any board member got any comments or questions of Nicole, please? Councillor Rebel.
Thanks. Are we absolutely confident that the Thames Business Association does not need that area that is currently being used by age concern?
They have stated that they do not want that area.
Fantastic, thank you.
Any other comments? There been none. Oh, sorry, Councillor Rodley.
So just to make absolutely sure, is there the option of saying in there requiring the new leaseholders, being the TBA, to sublease that to age concern? Could we specifically write that in, or would that then cause an issue if the lease, when the lease comes up? What's your advice?
I think my advice would be just to leave it separate and just enter into an agreement between age concern and ourselves so that they can stay there.
Just on that comment, Councillor Rodley, and further to Nicole, surely that they're two separate leases, aren't they? Initially, now they are combined, but would they not be two separate ones? I wouldn't like to see the TBA be the landlord over that.
No, it would be a separate arrangement.
Great.
But it's not currently.
It's not current because at the moment it's a sublease with the existing lessee.
Yeah, I'd like to see the two separate. Then they would be asked to pay $350 for the use of that area.
I wouldn't actually enter a lease with them because basically it's just a very small area. It's got no services. They have to use the public toilets, etc. Yep. So I think we'll just let it to them for just a peppercorn.
We're leaving your capable hands.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a mover and seconder of the motion, please? Moved by Board Member McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Rebel. Any further comments in regard to the motion? I'm not prepared to read that one out if you've all got it in front of you. Okay, I propose to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. Thank you, Nicole. Well done. You're back again? Oh. What's the number? Oh, yeah, 3.1. We're going to go to item 3.1 now. We have Mr. McIntosh online. So that's page 62 on my agenda. So I gather you all read it. If we can shoot down the page, or we just go to, it's best to go down the page and we'll pull up the items and go, otherwise we're jumping backwards and forwards. So the library, parks, open space renewals, swimming pool, just say Centennial Pool, fencing, park. Fence, furniture removal, Copewood, public convenience.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry, Pirate Park, yes.
Just with regards Pirate Park, am I right in my understanding that now everything pertaining to Pirate Park is now falls under the jurisdiction of Parks and Reserves, that the work of the developer and the contractor and all those people, that's now completed, that the whole thing's been handed over and it's now your baby?
Through the chair, yes, that is my understanding as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Rodley.
And you all right for me to jump down?
No, just start with Pirate Park. We just open that discussion part. Any further item of Pirate Park?
I like it. Great deal.
I saw you coming down the slide the other day. Mr. McIntosh, just one. There's been some comments made about things like that. I just would like to ask you, maybe this is not the right place, but is there any thought given to putting lighting on the western side of the boat and things like that? Because two families inform me that rope that comes down as a thing like is dangerous for children, and also the park seems to be well utilised after hours, and we've got a lot of people running in light, out of light, and things like that. So is there any intention that there is, I understand, provision to put lights down there? The cable's already in place. Trick question, I know.
I'll take the trick answer. I can get back to you on that. So I'm not sure what plan. I know that there's sort of there's a bedding in time where we're expecting some teething issues to be identified, including that after hours sort of nighttime usage, and so we're just collecting up those pain points and anticipate that there will be minor adjustments and tweaks made around the park to improve those pain points once we've got a good shopping list of what needs to be done still.
Thank you for that. I must say it's probably one of the most utilised areas at the moment currently. It's absolutely fantastic to look at. It's just my reservations about safety for people being unloaded from cars in that area. Councillor Rodley.
Yeah, just further to your question about lights. So I was down there when Call Electric put one light on the top of the toilet block facing towards the playground, and that does light up a whole lot. And then they were also, Derek had asked for them to, they discussed putting one facing what's that, southwest, so heading down to sort of towards the barbecue area, and I believe that second one is in place now. And I've got some photos if you wanted to see it.
And there's one going to go on the top of the light pole, so the lighting is an issue that is being looked at.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the barbecue area is lit up at night time tends to encourage people to go and use the barbecue at night time.
Although it does have a time lock for 10 o'clock. Sorry, I'm not deliberately.
No, that's good. That's good. I haven't been there at 10 o'clock at night, so I'll take your word for it. Board Member Rakwa.
Thanks, Chair. I heard there used to be security camera was installed in the past. That they're going to be stay or going to be removed? Security camera.
So through the chair, I'm not sure. My off-the-cuff answer would be that it was most likely there for security during the construction period, but I'm completely unaware of intentions one way or the other, so I would need to check those and get back to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So over the page, footpath. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's lovely. So every comment you make is being recorded. down in terms of actions required. Councillor Rodley?
On that next page, page 64, the second page of the work program, under the Kopu Marine, it's just the correction. It says project on track for practical completion 31/2024. Presumably that's 31 May.
Yes, yeah. So they've achieved practical completion now.
So I just want to raise one about streetlight renewals, and I'd like this board, I really would like this board to make a request, because this is the only place I can do it. So I'd like to request the TCDC staff prepare a report for the Grahamstown lights to see if they're fit for purpose, and or the replacement of the heritage lights which were taken off there on the 13th of December at 11:38 at night. Fittings, yeah, fittings. So can we put that on the action schedule, or could we, because it's there, we can actually move a motion? I'd move that motion to endeavour to, no. But I was told by the traffic manager that I could move it under streetlight renewals. So we've got a clash of heads here. Councillor Rodley?
So the report that Ed had produced about streetlights in Pollen Street and the condition of the poles, of the rust and the stuff, did that only go as far as the edge of Grahamstown? Did it not include the Grahamstown poles? I can't remember.
The poles in Grahamstown are a different design. They're made by Spunlight, totally different poles.
Was that not captured in that report though?
No, well, so the information that I've had given to me 24 hours ago, no. And the request was made that we need to ask council to prepare a report as where the poles are fit for purpose. They're totally different poles. They've got elements of cast iron and iron in them, in difference to the galvanised poles, the other ones, which are much lighter poles. And also they had the heritage light fittings on them, which have been removed, replaced with blue LEDs.
I understand they're different. I had just thought that would be.
No, they weren't.
Okay.
From what I was told. So there's, I got more things being written here than what's in the agenda. All right.
As we discussed.
Where's Rob? Sit here. Okay, so we can't, no resolutions on the fly. Well, that's a bit rough.
So one other point through the chair is that those poles are being inspected once a month.
Which poles?
By our roading team, and in accordance with the information that Ed Varley has previously given us. And so, yes, I guess if you are wanting to have that confirmed, you know, the conditions of those heritage poles confirmed, staff can go ahead and do that. But I think also this is about the light fittings.
Okay, heaps of advice here. Okay, let's get the elephant out of the room. Those Grahamstown lights were provided by the Thames Community Board. Early in the piece, we paid an additional $40,000 to have those lights included there. At no discussion with this board, they removed the heritage fittings off those lights. And we went out of our way to get different lights down in Grahamstown, different fittings. So now it comes back to, will the council replace the current LED, blue LED fittings up there, which makes a great seagull roost? Will the council replace those with heritage lights? The only way we can get that done is that we need a fit for purpose report on the poles themselves. Spunlight said they'll be too old to replace the lights, just lights, or otherwise replace the heritage lights that have been taken by another set of heritage lights developed by Spunlight, just for us. So it's going to go on to action schedule, but to me, there is a little bit of a flip-flop action. We should be able to move a motion when it's relates to something which is on our CAPEX list. So I'll defer to my governance officer because he's not got a mask on, I can see the eyes. So. Right, so that looks like, so it's on the action schedule?
Yes.
Thank you. Grahamstown's got a capital G too, thanks. Republic of Grahamstown. Right, any other questions on there in regards to Tokyo Valley? Oh, where are we with Tokyo Valley Road, please? It's sort of like in a holding pattern until November, is it? December?
Yes, so through the chair, so most of the or the land purchase agreements have now been settled that were outstanding. There are good faith negotiations ongoing with CBAS around their concerns, and yeah, the wider project was rescheduled as part of the LTP process. Plus, as you mentioned, we're waiting to hear about the fast track application, which will be sort of November-ish.
Excellent, just as long as it doesn't fall off the spectrum because that's critical for Thames and our future development. Please. Okay.
Can I just ask Glenn, as part of this review, reset or whatever it is consideration being given to biting off phase 2 at the same time?
Yeah, through the chair, sorry, I don't know about that. Yeah, so we'll put that on the action list and I'll get back to you.
Thanks.
Councillor Rodley.
Can I just ask, at the bottom of page 64, we've got the Thames treatment plant upgrade, which under the scope says to increase the treatment capacity to meet future demand. Now, I seem to remember being told a year or two ago when we were doing the spatial plan that there was sufficient capacity for another 200-ish properties onto that. Are you able to give some guidance as to the additional capacity? And I know it says to meet future demand. We don't know what that future demand might be, but what's that number roughly now?
Yeah, through the chair, so I'll need to get back to you. I'll check in with the staff around the increase in treatment capacity that they're expecting from that work.
Thank you.
Okay, down the page, any further things on the page 65? One of the things going through here last night and Friday night and Saturday night, just to show I just didn't read the night before, Thames Sub-Regional Aquatic Facilities Project and Thames Sports Partnership Project. I'm just wondering why they're not separated out on our CAPEX thing because they're not the same. So no doubt Roslyn's going to tell me otherwise.
We can certainly separate them out.
Because all that I wrote in here, that just muddying the waters by having them both under one title. Okay. A shoreline management plan. Anybody got any board member have any comments about the shoreline management plan? My only comment is that open community meetings update and received the feedback 24th of June 2024. I'm just hoping that the board would receive a report regarding that rather than expecting us to attend a public meeting to find out what's happening. We should be kept informed of that, please. All right, no other questions? Simple, sugar levels must be dropping. Project summary report, Kauaeranga Marine Precinct.
The only comment around that is the official opening on the 21st of June is going to be 1 hour before low tide.
Yeah.
So
This is one.
everyone will have plenty of mud to look at.
This is it. That's it like that.
Can I ask a question about the?
Sorry.
Well, it's not about the project as such, but last time we talked about it, we discussed the opening, and I asked whether previous community board members could be invited to the opening. I just want to follow up on whether they did get an invite or not.
That's in the action plan. It's on the action plan. Show you I read that. No, we're not 21st yet. We never know. The acting Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister, and they change the date again. I think you're going to work out closer to the time.
My apologies, I did miss it. It does say.
Yeah. Just one question, Mr. McIntosh, is how much of the 1.4 million that the Thames Community Board, or how much of the $1.4 million was stolen from the Thames Community Board has been used, please? Of course, here it's got $565,000 is committed. Is the balance committed as well, or are we looking for a little return?
I will need to check on that, but my understanding is that the regional council was the funder of last resort. So if we're drawing down their money, which I understand we are, then I would think that we've had to use all of those funds from the community board.
Yeah, that was my understanding, including the contingency fee had to be drawn down as well before MBIE would pay the balance, and I'm picking that WRC will do the same. Maybe we have a little pro rata thing after we see the WRC money. Councillor Rodley?
Yeah, so it's saying the contract sum 15.31 million. Total estimated cost to complete 15.02 million. So that appears to be 290,000 difference.
I think I can bring some light to this.
Thank you, Councillor Rebel.
The $1.4 million that came from the Thames Community Board's Tuggerah Fund has been fully utilised.
Oh.
So that's gone. Also, the Thames Community Board underwrote 565,000, and that will all be used. And the final 565,000 and the 15 point whatever it is million will be funded by the Waikato Regional Council, of which at the moment it looks like there's only going to be 350,000 used of their 565,000. So the funds that the Thames Community Board had committed or has underwritten will all be being used in the project.
And that's a great summary. The only thing I can add to that is that the timing was that the board was able to underwrite it to the point where they were able to sign the contract and lock in the lower price. And had we not done that, the price could have escalated even higher than it was. So yes, it's all gone, but it saved us a lot of money.
Thank you for that, Councillor Sinclair. They could also reduce the size of the car park. So, looks like we almost got to $2 million from the Thames Community Board. 35,000 short.
Correct. 1.965 million.
Yeah, 35,000 short. So, oh well, that's a Christmas party gone.
And we've just got wine biscuits for lunch today.
And is the same applying to the politicians who come and bring their own lunch as well? Wow, that's heartbreak. Seriously is.
On the other hand, we have now got a $15 million wharf facility with a very strong business case. And how many jobs are being created?
Expect to have 100 jobs related to aquaculture, light engineering and secondary services.
And our investment in that was less than $2 million. I think we got a pretty good deal.
Who am I to argue? Anybody else wish to comment? We're going for a break. So, somebody from the board care to move that the Thames Community Board receives the Thames Community Board CAPEX work program 23-24 and other information update report dated the 16th of May 2024. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rill, second by Councillor Rodley. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, declared carried. Thank you, Mr. McIntosh, for taking time out, speaking to us. Much appreciated. And we're now going to have, are we having a break or having lunch? Lunch. Okay. So, yeah, I know. Yeah. So what time, darling? What time now? 25 past 1 to make 1 o'clock. It's only 20 minutes. Okay, we'll come back at 1:15, please. But if you're here at 1 o'clock, that'll be great.